you are not already on the journey, and most people in here are probably already on the journey, but if you are not, I'm hoping that you will find yourself on your way to improving your health by natural means, because I think probably we are in trouble in this country in terms of health. I'm probably going to raise more questions than I'm going to answer, but I think that's good. I think if you'll know the questions to ask. Maybe now you don't even know the questions. Okay, so are you getting enough nutrition?
No.
How many people in here take supplements? 1, 2, 3. Most everybody does. Take supplements. You take supplements, April? Okay. Doctors will tell you that you get all the nutrition you need from your diet, right? Eat a well-balanced diet. You don't get too close to that.
Yep, your diet.
It's not going to, today's diet is not the same as diet 20 years ago. What's different?
Foods are more processed.
Absolutely. More processed. Which brings me to an interesting thing that came about today that I'm going to share with you, and it's going to probably not be something you want to see, but I think you need to see. Scott, would you put that for me, please, honey? In that box is a flashlight, and in that bag is a loaf of bread. I got you. The reason I did this is because years ago, when I went to my first herb lecture that Ed Vashon gave, thank you, many years ago, many moon ago, he said you could throw a loaf of bread today, and that was 20 years ago, outside, and as long as the animals or the birds didn't get it, it would remain unchanged. I thought, we buy good bread. This is good bread. I thought we bought good bread. This is like $2.50 a loaf. It's Arnold. It's grain, right? We're supposed to be eating grains. Whole grains are supposed to be so good for us. I really thought we were doing the right thing. Well, this morning, I thought, I'm going to try this. I took a slice of bread, and I put it in some water. 9 o'clock this morning. And I want you all to see something. I'm going to pass it around, but this bread is unchanged.
It sat there.
It sat there in water since 9 o'clock this morning. This disgusting liquid that has become kind of greenish, yellowish. Maybe that's our vitamins that we're getting from our bread?
Oh.
I don't think so. But let me just pass it around.
You're getting pass-through fiber. Pass-through.
Graduates of today's medical schools, according to Philip R. Lee, says that graduates of today's medical schools know more about heart transplants than they do about nutrition. He would guess that 90% of them couldn't describe an adequate nutritious diet that's appropriate for people at various stages of life. I think probably we're going to find it's true. And I decided, because that bread was so disgusting, I wanted to see what the ingredients were. Those are the ingredients. And as they appear right on the loaf of bread, I can't pronounce some of this. This ethyl, down the last line there, next to the last line, ethyl, whatever it is, mono, diglycerides, and all of that stuff. That's what's in the bread. And then underneath, do you see the little part down there where it says manufactured in a facility that uses wheat, soy, milk, eggs, hazelnuts, almonds, and walnuts? Doesn't that sound healthy? The problem is you don't see any of those ingredients in a list of ingredients. So, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm ever going to eat that bread again, either.
The whole wheat flour may have been the best thing in there.
Probably. I did look up that ethoxylated mono and diglycerides, and there's a big long explanation for it, and what it is basically is it's a chemical that allows water and fats to blend. And you don't want to take too much of it. Okay, the average diet. Does your diet look like this? It's prettier on this little picture right here. It almost looks all green here, but if you look at this picture, can y'all see this little picture right here? where it looks so pretty. Is this the way your daily diet looks? It's got all these wonderful fruits and green vegetables, and here's some nice seafood, warm soup. Is that the way yours? Yeah. Mine is. Does it look more like that? Fries, barbecue, burgers, pizza. Okay. Most people's diet is like this, and I'm going to tell you, it costs a lot more money to eat healthy than it does to eat like this. If you buy organic products, I drink organic milk only. A half gallon is $4.50-some for just a half gallon of organic milk. I don't know how you would do that if you have children. Organic eggs, cage-free organic eggs, over $4 a dozen. How do people with children manage to buy those expensive products? Probably don't. And probably this is what the children are eating. It's everyone's busy today. Do you have children, April? Who's young here and has children? Two. You work, you're busy, probably your kids eat a lot of this.
Fast food.
Fast food.
My son likes artichoke and collard greens.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
But he does like nuggets.
Yeah. McDonald's.
Which is full of those long names.
Oh, yeah.
Processed stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, consequences of a poor diet, which probably most of us have. Short term, the waistline, clothing size. And I want you to think, when you think about digesting your food, think about that poor piece of bread, whoever it is. Okay, it's in water, and your digestive juices are probably, hopefully stronger than water, and so it probably does break down, hopefully better than that. But still in all, beyond the preservatives, you still aren't getting much, even if you can break it down. Long term, serious consequences. Heart disease, cancer, sleep apnea, diabetes, stroke, infertility, and osteoarthritis. Infertility is more prominent today than it's been in years, young couples. All of those diseases are more prominent than anywhere. Whoops, go back.
Eileen, my sister got diagnosed with MS, and she had to go on a totally organic diet. So she has to eat certain things. And she lives up in she's in Falls Church, Virginia.
Okay.
And she found out that there were some Amish people who came through there that had organically raised chickens. So every Monday, my sister has 4 organically raised chickens, fresh, that were just
That's great.
just plucked and dressed.
Wonderful.
So every Monday she gets her 4 chickens, and she eats a lot of chicken. But it was organically.
Well, it's probably better for her anyway.
But she can taste the difference, too.
You can taste the difference. My husband says you can. I'm a vegetarian, by the way. I haven't had meat in 18 years, anyway. But I cook meat for my husband. And when I buy the organic chicken, he can taste the difference. You can get it at Food Lion. I suppose you can get it anywhere. It's more expensive, again, more expensive. I think I probably went too far back the other way. Did I? I really don't know what I'm doing on this thing, y'all, so you just have to bear with me, because I'm going to start this thing over again, or at least where I left off. Down here.
Consequences of a poor diet.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Let's try
I've
that.
always tried
From
to.
current slide.
We eat out maybe twice a week.
So how can you improve your
2
health?
meals a week. Everything else is.
By eating less processed food and more whole food.
Do you know how to do it? Do you know what to do?
Not really.
Not really. No. And why shouldn't you know what to do?
I know what to do, just don't do it.
Well, don't you have an owner's manual? You don't? Well, you do for everything else, don't you? I mean, up in your vehicle, there's an owner's manual in the glove box, right? And somewhere at home, you've got a whole file of owner's manuals for toasters and microwaves and everything. Yeah, but you don't have an owner's manual for your health. Okay. All right. Well, everyone used to have an owner's manual. Now, I'm dating myself, but I'm going to tell you what. Young mothers were sent a copy of this book right here, and I have, Scott, would you, on the bottom of that, honey, would you get that book? There's a book in a bag. It's that book, 1966.
Used to be a Dr. Spock that had a little...
Yeah, but that wasn't like this.
Okay.
No, this is the best book because, okay, it has everything in it. Thank you very much. Everyone had one of these. Everyone. They had a medical guide. And I'll show you some of the chapters that are in here. So, in here, you can learn about nutrition. They have diets in there for different stages of your life. They've got infant and child care. They've got lungs and chest. Every illness that you can think of is in here. And let me tell you, there was a time in this country when doctors thought that people actually had brains and could figure things out. If they had a guidebook, they could actually look things up. When I was a child, I went to the doctor 3 times in my entire childhood. 3. Once when I fell on a piece of glass and had to have stitches when I was about 5. Another time when I had my appendix out. Everybody was getting their appendix out. You know, I'm going to tell you something. There's always a popular operation going on somewhere. You know that was appendix back then. And it was tonsils. Every kid had appendix and tonsils out, pretty much. But anyway, other than that, and then a time when I had to get a tetanus shot because a nail went in my leg when I fell off a roller coaster, whatever I was doing. But anyway, people did not run to the doctor. You know what they did? They took things like, their grandmothers made them take things like castor oil. Anyone remember castor oil?
I do.
You remember castor oil?
They gave us castor oil no matter what was wrong with it. You got
That's
castor
right. Grandma said, how are you feeling? And you always said, fine.
Right.
I feel great. Because you know if you said anything else like that, you were going to get castor oil.
What about Grove's chill tonic?
The what?
Anybody take that Grove's chill tonic?
Oh, no, I never had that. Tell us
You
about
did?
it. Tell
I
us.
have malaria fever every year, and the doctor, I had to take Grover's chill tonic. And after you swallow it, then you got all that stuff in your mouth. It was a mess. Have you ever tried it?
What is it again?
Grove's chill tonic.
Chill
They probably don't even make it now.
T-E-A-L.
Did y'all ever have a mustard
Chill.
plaster put on your
Chill.
chest when you had a chest cold?
Grove's Chill Tonic. You had to chill it so you could swallow it.
Okay.
No, it had old granules or something about
Okay.
that.
The other thing we did was if you got a chest cold, Grandma would put what she called a mustard plaster on your chest. You got that powdered mustard. Do you know what I'm talking about? And add some water and make a paste, and put it all over the chest, and then put a hot flannel cloth. Practically sucked your lungs right out of your body, but you know you got rid of whatever you had. So we didn't do all this stuff. But consequently, people who are more towards my age, who never went to the doctor, never took medicines, we have a low tolerance to chemicals. And this is how I got on this path. Every time I ever went to a doctor, when I became an adult and had medication, I always had terrible side effects. Antibiotics. I never had antibiotics when I was a kid. I don't think they, you know, they, obviously. But I never took them. And, I mean, you had to be practically dead before they gave you something like that. You know, and they were calling the family. And so never had any of that stuff. And so I had to find, quite frankly, I stumbled on this. I was looking for answers really in a bookstore one day for what to do when I have side effects for drugs. Is there something I can do, and what should I be careful of? And in an herb book, in this section, literally fell on the floor, and I started looking, and I started my journey. And the thing that annoyed me, really exasperated, frustrated me, was I was in my 40s, and I had never even heard of an herb. How can it be? How can that be? So I went after it with a vengeance.
I told Eileen about the sassafras tea my grandmother would make.
Yeah?
And she would send me out in the woods to dig up a root
Right.
so she could make her tea.
And you know, food was cleaner in those days.
Yes.
People raised meat, grain-fed meat, and there wasn't the greed, of the industry, and more people were doing farming on their own, so they didn't have the chemical farming that we have today. They were healthier times, and the greed is really overtaking the whole system.
They give the animals antibiotics and all kinds of things to make them grow quicker. Got growth
Exactly.
hormones in them. And I'm not trying to
No, you're right.
say things, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
but there's all kinds of things in the meat we eat.
Steroids. You can't find flat-chested girls anymore. They eat that. They eat those eggs and those chickens that have been raised on steroids, and gonna put these surgeons out of business who do the breast enlargement. Okay, some of the topics in a well-written health guidebook: diet and nutrition, the role that stress plays. Did you know stress plays an important role in your health? Do doctors ever tell you, how are you feeling? When you go to the doctor, do you go to the doctor? Once in a while? Does he sit down with you and say, how's it going? How you been feeling? Sit right down there with you? Really?
Never.
You have a real doctor?
Probably because he knows me.
Okay.
Probably knows me.
A lot of doctors today don't do that. They got a little computer they carry around, and when they come into your examining room, they open up the computer, and they just keep looking at the screen.
What can I do for you today?
Yeah, what can I do for you today? How are you feeling? Let's see, what are you taking? Oh, well, is it working? Let's just keep doing that. Sleep and rest needs during various stages of your life. I'm going to tell you right now, teenagers are not getting enough rest. What's keeping them from resting? The what?
Their diet.
The diet, maybe, for sure, but cell phone, texting,
The blue light, the Facebook.
Facebook. They stay up till all hours of the night.
You sure do.
Okay, yeah? And you tell them to go to sleep, and what happens? Nothing.
Find it under their pillow
You go
the
to
next
sleep.
morning.
Finally, you have to go to sleep yourself, right? They're still awake. And then they come to school, you know what they do? They want to go to sleep. Because they're tired. Okay, it'll tell you when to call the doctor. This book, you get a book like that, it'll tell you when to call the doctor, what to look for. It'll give you first aid measures. We don't even get that stuff anymore. It's like, I don't know. Okay, are there alternatives in some cases to RX drugs? In my world, yes. How many people in here have been told that herbs are dangerous? Anybody? Right? Scott has. Yeah. Ever been told that be careful of those herbs? You don't know what they're going to do. FDA doesn't regulate them. They're dangerous, aren't they? Dangerous things.
The Indians were around for a long time, and they had.
I have scoured the internet to try to find stories about deaths from drugs, and I finally came up with one. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get to that. I'll go back. Yes, there were 2 deaths in northern Iraq in 1994, they said. They said that they had some kind of liver thing, and they decided it was 2 deaths in northern Iraq in 1994. Well, let me see. I've got to get to this next slide. I'm probably going to have to go back. I don't know if I can do it. Here's what's happening with adverse stress reactions from RX drugs. Over 2 million serious adverse drug reactions yearly. 100,000 deaths each year from adverse drug reactions. 100,000. The leading cause of death ahead of pulmonary disease, diabetes, and AIDS. Ambulatory patients, they really don't know. You know, people who don't report to their, this is the Center for Education and Research on Therapeutics. Nursing home patients, 350,000 of them die yearly from adverse reactions to drugs. So we're dealing with something kind of serious when we're talking about prescription drugs today. And I'll see if I can get back there.
My wife had a reaction last year to steroids. The doctor gave her steroids. She didn't sleep for a week.
Oh my God.
She literally went crazy.
Was it like prednisone or something?
Prednisone. And she didn't sleep for a week, and her mind was blitzed. I took her to her medical doctor, and he had not figured out what had happened. He said, take her to mental health. I took her to mental health. And the mental health doctor asked her the buzz question. Do you want to hurt yourself or others? And she says, give me a, I'm going to use the D word. She says, give me a damn gun. I'll blow my brains out right here in front of you.
Yes.
So guess what? She was in a police car 2 hours later going to Columbia. They did let me ride with her since I used to be prior law enforcement. But,
Right.
but she spent over a month in an institution because she had an adverse reaction to steroids.
Isn't that something?
And finally I convinced the doctor that that's what had happened, and she agreed.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the worst story I've heard.
Yeah.
Really. Okay, if you have an herb guidebook, all of the guidebooks will tell you give you this information. These are the kinds of things that most people want to know before they start taking herbs. You know, where do you get them? How do you prepare them? Which ones are helpful to various body systems? What ones go together well? And it'll tell you which ones shouldn't be used in certain conditions. We'll go over some of that as we go into the herbs. Which ones can be taken daily? Which ones are recommended for short-term use, or which ones, I think I repeated that. I certainly did. Okay. Now, herbs do complement body systems. I don't know if you noticed, because I didn't mention it, but I should have mentioned it. On my very first, on the little slide that introduced me and what the talk was about, I had a little disclaimer there, and I need to say it. I am not a doctor. And I do not want you to take any advice, this is advice, any suggestions you get from me, do not take them as intended to diagnose or prescribe medicine. You know why I have to say that? Do you know why?
Because Eileen told me to take that.
At work we call it, at work we used to call it CYA. I won't go into what it stands for, but y'all can figure it out.
The law would come and accuse me of impersonating a doctor, prescribing medications, drugs as medications, and they really can arrest. They can arrest you. They could close my shop down. Anything that they wanted to do would be within their right. Now there are some doctors who do recommend supplements. Anybody in here have a doctor that recommends supplements of any kind? I have not heard of them around here, but I have a couple of customers who tell me that there's a doctor in Florence, and they won't even give me his name, but he recommends vitamins and herbs sometimes. I do know a lot of doctors are recommending vitamin D3. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
Ann and Bobby was going to a doctor that recommended herb.
Great. See, ideally, what would happen is doctors would recognize the health benefits of herbs because they would be so concerned about their patients. But why in the world do they not do that?
There's the kickback from the...
Can't make the money.
That's the name of the game now.
What's your name?
Money.
Christian nailed it. Taking away from their money. You want to take candy out of their kids' mouths? Oh.
He told me what was the story about the man and his son? The man was a doctor and his son was a young doctor. He said, son, I put you through school because I didn't cure everybody. You know, that's how you got through school. He a young doctor, he tried to cure everybody.
Okay.
His fingers dropped off.
One of my old uncles was a doctor, and he used to make house calls. They don't.
Years ago, they made house calls.
Yeah.
Years ago, doctors, you know what you did? You first came into the doctor's office, you sat in the waiting room a very short time, and then you were led into the doctor's office. I mean, a soft lighting, comfortable chairs, the desk was in there, and the doctor would come in and he'd say, tell me all about it. You know, tell me what's going on. And he'd talk about everything, and then he would say, I'm going to have the nurse take you in and we'll do a little examination and we'll be back in here and see about what we can do. And it was just nurturing and warm and caring. And now what happens now? You sit in one waiting room for 2 hours, you just went through it. How long did you sit in the waiting room?
Oh, it was a little while.
A couple hours? Okay, well sometimes it's a couple hours. I've been with Bob and 2 hours and one, and then you go to another waiting room. So anyway, all doctors are not the same.
I got the flu not long ago, and I sat 2 hours to be worked in.
Yeah.
And they gave me